This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions. I just wanted to let you know before we start the podcast that I am doing an online podcast course, how to be able to create, get your guests, scale it and monetize it. So please do go to abmpodcastcourse.co.uk and go into the contact us bit. I'm looking for new people to be able to be a podcast creator and really to be able to develop their skills and knowledge into a podcast. So as I said, go to abmpodcastcourse.co.uk and sign up. Thanks. This is the Absolute Business Mindset Podcast. This quick podcast will give you insight into business. I will share my thoughts, ideas from content leaders and experiences from my life. This podcast will educate you and in business. I hope you have a few aha moments on this journey. Today I will talk about COVID-19 from the perspective of the economy. So I wanted to just touch base today because I wanted to share with you the difficult job that all governments around the world, but talking about the UK government, is struggling with COVID. So we are now experiencing the greatest depression that we have experienced. The loss in the GDP has been immense, and the government have tried to keep the economy afloat by putting in furlough and stamp duty relief as well. So their attempt to keep the economy afloat is admirable. And he's now is now saying, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, that we're going to have unemployment up to about 2.5 million, nearly 3 million. And I kind of see this is incredibly hard for people that have lost their jobs. I don't think anyone can not empathise with what people are going through in this situation where people are losing their jobs. There are neighbours of mine which I have lost their jobs, and it's incredibly hard sometimes to be motivated to look for another job or being declined because there's so many people that are needing jobs, and every job that's advertised has hundreds of people interested. But from a high level, macro level, I think we're going to have to really think about how we keep this economy going. Debt is now at the highest that it's ever been, ever. And we thought 2008-09, the credit crunch, was the largest debt that we've ever experienced. And we are now beyond that. And I just think that we need to be realistic and pragmatic about the economy. We can't keep on borrowing money at the rate that we're borrowing it at. And I get that. Is the economy able to bounce back? Are we able to have the benefit of certain parts of the economy pulling us forward, and certain parts of our economy not doing so well? So hospitality, retail, airline industry have been absolutely crippled by COVID. And we need to try and get these businesses back on track. And that takes a little bit of bravery from us on a micro level to go to the pubs, the restaurants, the hotels, and get out there with safety, with our masks, with hand sanitizer, keeping to groups of your family. But it is going to be so hard if we don't try and stimulate this economy, because we could have a decade of repercussions of this debt that we have borrowed over and over and over again. So what I'm trying to say is that from a macro level, I think the Chancellor's doing the best he can in a really, really difficult job. But I think it's got to be done on a micro level as well, and we need to be going out and supporting our local businesses. The small to medium enterprises, the businesses, take up like 70%, I think 75% of our economy is SMEs. We need to go out there and support them and keep them going and keep them employing and paying their taxes and stimulating this economy. I just feel so sad for so many people that are affected by this. But you have to take from a macro level as well as a micro level. So yes, support our economy, keep it afloat, be so mindful of this debt that we are in, and wherever we can cut costs is probably the right way to go. I know that a lot of people have said that the public sector is not having a pay rise, but people in the private sector have lost their jobs. A lot of people in the public sector have kept their jobs. So it's not one side is faring better than the other. They're both being affected by different ways. So if you're listening to this, and the advice that I would give, don't worry so much about the macro. Let the politicians argue about that. We can't affect that part too much. But what we can do is we can support our local corner shops, our local pharmacies, our local coffee shops, wine shops, restaurants, pubs, bars. We can support them by going out and being incredibly careful, but going out and supporting them, because that is the only way we're going to be able to get this business of this economy going. So please, guys, if you don't know anything, just go out, support your small business when lockdown ends, and hopefully we can rebound quickly from this incredibly difficult position that we're in. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the subscribers, the listeners, and the downloads that you do. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.